inspiration for a last minute gift or last minute decor ideas? Well, then you clicked on the right video today. Hello friends, my name is Justina and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs. And in today's video, I have 5 last minute decor or gift ideas using canvases that you can buy at Dollar Tree right now. Now, a few of these are in the non-traditional sense, but you can always change it back to the traditional if you choose to. And I just think they're just so fun and really good ways to use a canvas if you need some last minute ideas. But before we get started, if you're new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and spending a little time with me creating some of these DIYs. Please do all the YouTubey things though, like this video, share it to at least one friend, and comment down below which one was your favorite canvas idea. Now, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it and let's art today. Right into our first DIY, I have a canvas here that is 12 inches by 16 inches roughly, and I have this glittery heart from a Dollar Tree pack that I just cut out. I'm going to use this as a stencil, but if you can freehand a heart, by all means you can do that as well, but I just really wanted my hearts to be even and all the same size, so I'm just using this. I grabbed a pencil, and as you see here, I'm just tracing the outline of the heart onto my canvas. They are going in all different directions, making the canvas look like it's covered in these ginormous hearts, which are going to be conversation hearts, but not in the traditional sense. Now, even though my hearts are going in all sorts of directions, I did want them to be as evenly spaced as possible, so that's why I keep going back and forth. And lastly, I did want to add a little bit more to the corners, and then you should have a canvas that looks like this and is ready to paint. Now, since they are still going to be conversation hearts, just not in the traditional sense, I still wanted them to be colorful, just not the traditional way, which is more of a pastel palette. I wanted mine to be some of my family members' favorite colors, so I am first starting off with this green and just filling in the heart. Now, if it gets outside of the lines, it is totally fine because we can fix that later. However, I am using acrylic paints, and acrylic paints tend to be a little bit less opaque, so you might have to do a couple coats. At least for me, I knew that I had to do a couple coats, so the lighter the coats the better, because as you progressively add more coats onto it, it becomes more opaque. Now, I will continue adding all of the colors that I want to, but I am adding them sporadically. So as you see here, I have a couple different placements of the green hearts where I like them, and then I will move on to my next color, which is orange. Now, lately I've been getting a lot of comments stating that they can never be an artist like me. However, I just want to remind you that you can be an artist. You don't really need fancy tools or years of experience. It's just really about expressing yourself and having fun. So that's why I'm showing you this painting here, because this is really simple to do. You just find a stencil, you outline it, and then you paint in the colors, and you just have to fine tweak it here and there, but you can really create a nice piece of art if you just learn to have fun with it. Remember, let your imagination flow and see where it takes you, because there is no specific rules when it comes to your own style. The point is just to have fun with it like I do here, and you can really go far if you continue to practice. Now, after I have all of my colors filled in, I am now taking a Posca paint marker, and I'm going to outline all of my hearts so that I can see where the original lines were when we first stenciled it in to begin with. Now, as you see here, some of the color did spill over into the canvas, which is totally fine because we will cover that over, but I will continue adding the outline to all of my hearts. This is not only just a painting for decor, but you can also use this to give as a gift to one of your friends or your family members who like non-traditional scents decor, which my family definitely does. So this was really fun, and I'm also going to gift this to my spouse. Now that I have all of my outline done, as you see here, I'm just taking some black acrylic paint and painting all of that negative space around our hearts. This way we can correct any of our mistakes and really make those hearts pop off of that canvas. Remember, you do not have to paint your background black if you do not wish to. You can always use a different color. I personally just like how it makes all of the hearts pop off the canvas, and that way I can also hide all of the mistakes that I did beforehand. But like I mentioned before, you do not have to use black if you do not wish to. After I added all of the coats of paint that I wanted to, I did let this sit and dry completely before moving on to the next step, which is once again taking my black Posca paint marker, and now I'm giving my hearts an edge, is the best way I can describe it. So I'm making this little line right here from one side of the heart, and I will continue doing that with all of the hearts because we will fill in that edge with a different color just to make the heart look a little bit more 3D. Once again, this is a personal preference. You do not have to do this step if you do not want to. I just really like how it gives off that 3D look. I did a similar painting on a terracotta pot, which I will link here and in the description box below if you would like to check that one out after this video. But it was really fun. I love painting on terracotta pots. Now that I have all of those lines made up, I am going in with a similar color. So with the purple ones, I'm going in with a darker purple, and I am using my Posca paint markers to do this, but you can also use acrylic paint and paint it in as well, and I think that way is a little bit better because then you can pick the right shade of color that you want with your adjacent heart. Now as you see here, I do paint the edges of my canvases. It just makes it look more seamless and that the painting continues on all the way around, which I absolutely love, but you do not have to do that. You can always just paint it completely black so it looks more like a frame. I will continue adding on all of the colors to the edges of my hearts. Now, while I am doing that, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, once again, thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. I do appreciate each and every one of you that are here today spending a little bit of time with me. If you are enjoying this video thus far, please smash that thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel. Now, once those edges had time to dry, I am going in with my black Posca paint markers. I did outline them, and now I'm making these little stitching because I wanted the edges to look like they were stitched up, and I'm just making little dashes and X's on the outline. I absolutely loved how this turned out, and I did give my spouse a sneak peek, and they loved it as well. So I will continue adding all of the dashes on the outer edges of our hearts that we just created. Now, the very last thing to make these conversation hearts is to add some words on them, and this was a little bit tricky for me because I didn't really know what to write, so I tried to look up words that are non-traditional conversation hearts, and a bunch of things popped up which I thought was hilarious. So my first word is go away, and if you have been following my channel, you do know that I have a hard time with my lettering. For some reason, when I paint it on or try to draw it on like I am with my paint marker, it's not always up to my standards. However, I just thought this was really fun. I took my time and tried to space out all of the letters correctly and just add all of the silly words, which you can get very creative with because there is a lot of words out there to choose from. But once you have all of your words put on your heart and wait for it to completely dry, that completes our very first DIY. I absolutely had so much fun making this DIY. Remember, you can change it up to make it however you like, but I absolutely loved how this turned out, and it is super funny for me and my spouse. But I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below. Moving right into our next DIY, I was really inspired this day to just paint, so I wanted to show you how easy it is to make home decor with just a little painting or drawing. First, I'm just taking my pencil and I'm sketching onto my canvas. You don't always have to just draw right onto your canvas. You can always make a sketch out on a piece of paper and then transfer it. As you see here, I did make many mistakes, and then all I did was just erase it. Now, I was inspired by my first two DIYs. However, I did want to make something different. So as you see here, I'm making a cupcake, and it will have some strawberries on top of it. Now, sketching out for me is sometimes tedious because I do change my mind quite often, and this first sketch that you see here is not the final painting, which is totally fine. You can always tweak it up to make it however you want to be, but hopefully this will give you some inspiration to maybe make some art yourself. Now, I am adding this little face on top of it. I didn't really like how it looked, so that will change as well, as you will see later. Then after I have my sketch, I did take a step back, and then I wanted to just start painting. As you see here, I do have a different sketch, and now I have two different types of blue because I wasn't sure what I wanted my background color to be, and ultimately I just went with the lighter blue, which was a really good choice because it was nice and pastel, which goes with the theme of this painting. I did add a couple coats to my background. I always like to start with my background just because sometimes when you start off with a plain white canvas, it can be a little bit of a block. So you want to add some color to your background so that your picture starts coming to life. After I added the couple of coats of the background, I then started painting in my cupcake. I first started with the liner, and I wanted it to be red for Valentine's Day. Once again, I do want to let you guys know I am using basic acrylic paint. This is the apple barrel paint that I received for Christmas. That's because anybody can make a painting with basic paints. You just have to add more layers and wait for them to dry and add more details to really make your painting pop, but you can still make amazing art with just basic acrylic paints. Next, I'm taking that same red paint and filling in my strawberries or my hearts and giving it a couple coats, letting each coat dry completely before adding the second coat. And since these are acrylic paints, they dry really quickly. Now that is painted, I wanted my cupcake to be this really bright, vibrant pink that I got in my ice cream party collection, and I'm just filling in the whole entire cupcake. Now I do have a lightly sketched out face on top of it, and it does cover it up, but it's not a problem. You can always add it back onto your acrylic paint once it had time to completely dry. I went back in with black acrylic paint, and I wanted to create these stripes onto my liner, and as you see, my liner is a little bit darker. That's because I added a couple of coats and waited for it to completely dry to make it nice and opaque, and then I'm just adding this black straight line onto my liner. As I am painting and you are new to my channel and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is completely free, but don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. And we would love to have you part of our virtual art family here, where we do a lot of DIYs with an artistic twist. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here once again. I really hope you are enjoying today's video. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and share it to at least one friend. That would really help out my channel. Now, as you see here, I am adding more detail to my painting, and I started going in with Posca paint markers. First, I used red to outline our strawberries, then added the seeds, and then I'm outlining the cupcake itself. As you see here, I'm taking a fine liner paintbrush and added the little mouth onto my strawberry cupcake, and then I'm adding some pupils to the eyes. Now at first I thought I was just going to leave it like that, but then it started to look creepy, so then I was like, let me change it up and fill it in with black acrylic paint. You do not have to add a face to your cupcake if you do not want to. I just think it's adorable, and who doesn't like a little cute cupcake face? Next, I'm taking the green Posca paint marker and adding the stem onto my strawberry with its leaves, and I'm just making little lines and then filling it in. Once I have my leaves on, I then take my black fine liner paintbrush again, dip it in some black acrylic paint, and then I'm just going on the outer edges of my painting and outlining my whole painting. This really does give it a layer of depth and really makes your painting pop off of the canvas, at least in my opinion. Once I have it all outlined, I took a step back and realized that my background is a little bit bare, so I took a blue Posca paint marker, and as you see here, I'm just making all sorts of little dots on the background with no rhyme or reason. This really did help fill in that background. And then when I was done with my Posca paint marker, I took the same paint that I did for my cupcake and made more dots, and after that was completely dry, this completes this DIY. I absolutely love our little cupcake friend here, but he desperately needs a name. So if you can leave me a comment below to name this little fella, I would deeply appreciate it. And I would love to know what you think about this painting down there as well. Moving right into our next DIY, I have another canvas idea, and this one is an 8x8 canvas. Now always check Ross for canvases because they sell an abundance of canvases for reasonable prices in all different types of sizes. Now as you see here, I am first going in with some gray acrylic paint, and I'm drawing these little U's upside down. This will potentially become a ghost because, like I mentioned before, my family and I like anything spooky, so this really goes with more of our home decor. We do like the cutesy side of things as well. That's why I create some of those DIYs, but we absolutely love anything creepy all year long. So after I have my ghost filled out with that gray paint, I am now going in with black acrylic paint, and I'm just outlining the outer edges of my ghost because once again, I made a couple mistakes, and this is the best way that I found out for myself to correct those mistakes and try to make it the way I want it. Now I know ghosts are typically white, but I like to have a base layer of the darker colors. That way you can build on top of it with your lighter colors and so on and so forth. As you see here, I am adding more of a whiter gray color on top of the darker gray, and with some of that black being on the outer edges, it does help with some shading and shadows that I will create. I'm just going to continue layering all of the different hues of gray on top of the ghost just until I got it to my liking. Now I am going to continue blending all of my grays in with each other, but then at this point I wanted to give my little ghosties some hands, so I'm making more of that little U here, and I'm using some of that black that was on the outer edges to blend in and make more of a shadow, so it really makes their arms pop out. And then I will continue adding more color on top until everything is well blended in. Now that I am pleased with my little ghosties for right now, I am now taking some black acrylic paint and painting all of the background with that black acrylic paint, really wanting the ghosties to be popped off of that canvas, so that's why I choose black. But remember, you don't always have to choose black. You can always make a scene or use a different color if you want to. This is just an idea to help inspire you guys to create something different for your home decor. After I have all of my background filled in, I am now taking a really thin paintbrush and making my ghosties little eye cutouts here, and once again I'm just using black acrylic paint to do both of my ghost eyes. Once I was done with my ghost eyes, I then wanted to add a heart to each one of my ghosts, but not a completed heart. I wanted to add a half of a heart in each one of their hands. That way, when they're together, the heart becomes a whole. I think it's super romantic and somewhat poetic in my opinion. But once I was done filling in the hearts, I did give each one of the ghosties a little bit of blush on their cheeks, and that completes this DIY. I absolutely love and adore this painting. It is technically very different, but I think it goes well with our Valentine's Day decor in our home. But I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comments. This DIY is super simple. All you're going to need really is a canvas painted any color you like. As you see here, I had a white canvas and I just painted it black. And next, I have these wooden conversation hearts. I purchased mine from Amazon, but Dollar Tree does carry conversation hearts. I believe they're in sticker form. But as you see here, I purchased mine from Amazon. 300 of these came in a pack, and I just love that they're wooden, so they're very versatile for any type of DIY. Next, I'm just taking a pencil and I'm sketching in a heart in the center of my canvas. Once again, you can paint your canvas however you like. This would look perfect with all type of pastel colors or even red for the Valentine's Day season. Next, I'm placing those conversation hearts right on top of my canvas because then I am going to start gluing them down using my hot glue gun. I am starting at the bottom of the heart that I sketched in, and then I will work my way all the way to the top. This works best for me, but you could pretty much start anywhere. Now, if you're working with little ones, I think this would be a cute craft for them. You can always use school glue so that they don't burn their little fingers. And as you see here, I am not going in a particular pattern. I'm just laying them out, making sure I don't have the same color next to one another. I will continue gluing all of my conversation hearts until I get completely around. And I just want to mention I only did the outline of the heart that I drew in, as you see here. You can always fill in your heart with more conversation hearts or even paint in the center, but I chose not to. Next, as you see, I did flip over my canvas and I took an X-Acto knife and started cutting around the edges of the canvas. I wanted to remove the canvas from the frame that it is stapled on, but you can always leave yours on if that's what you are looking for. Now, this did take quite some finagling to do because those staples were in there pretty tough. However, I did just continue to cut until the canvas was off. Now that I have both pieces separated from one another, you have this beautiful wooden frame that is in this natural color. I like it, however, I wanted something brighter, so I am going to use my very new Apple Barrel multi-surface paint in the color Wisteria. This is such a nice vibrant purple, and as you see here, I just poured it right onto my picture frame and I'm painting it on. This did need about 2 coats, and with the 2 coats you still see some of that wood grain showing through, which I absolutely love. Then once I was done painting, I did set this off to the side to completely dry so we can move on to the next step, which is adding it back onto the canvas. As you see here, I'm just dry fitting it, trying to make sure exactly where I want that canvas to lay underneath the frame. And to attach my frame to my canvas, I'm just using my Gorilla Glue stick, hot glue gun, and placing it all on the back of that picture frame. I am gently picking it up, making sure I don't burn my fingers, making sure it is nice and centered, and then I will push down firmly. I do flip it over and then push down firmly again, making sure that all of that hot glue on the canvas and on the wooden frame is attached to one another. Next, I am taking my X-Acto knife again and cutting off the excess canvas that is hanging on the edges of my frame. And the last thing I wanted to add to this picture was a hanger. I'm just using a ribbon and hot gluing the ribbon down to the back of the canvas, but you can always use an eye hook or a picture frame hook if you would like to. And once that was dry, that completes this DIY. I really loved how simple and easy this DIY was to make, and anyone pretty much of all ages can do this DIY. Once again, if you have really little ones, I suggest using some school glue, but nonetheless, this came out really cute. Leave me a comment down below if you like it as well. Moving right into our next DIY, I have this square canvas that I had in my crafter's stash, which I don't know what that paper was, but I tossed that to the side. Remember, you can always find canvases at Dollar Tree. Next, I want to paint my canvas using this electric blue from my new painting set, and I just place it right onto my canvas. Remember, you do not have to paint this way, but since this is just going to be a solid color and I don't want to dirty up more stuff, I just add the paint right onto my canvas and then I paint it on. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this DIY because I had a different idea that I had in my head, but when I made it into reality, it did not execute well. But I still think it's a cute idea, so if you do a much better job than I did, I think it would turn out much better. However, I still think it's a cute idea and I still wanted it to share it with you. Now, I did add 2 coats to my canvas, making sure that it was nice, bright, and vibrant, and I do paint the edges of my canvas just to give it a nice finished look. I do have this puffy paint in my crafting stash that I believe I got on clearance, and I just thought it was a perfect color combination with the blue that I chose. And I just love how vibrant they are. They are all pastel colors, as you see here, but most of the colors kind of match when I actually put it down on the canvas. So that is one thing that I think I messed up. I just added too many colors. I should have just stuck with maybe 3 to 4 instead of the whole palette of colors. Next, I did add some washi tape down to my canvas because I needed to space it out evenly. In hindsight, this was an unnecessary step and it just took longer to do. So if you recreate this, you do not have to do this step. Now, I'm going to make little hearts all in the boxes that I am creating. Once again, in hindsight, I should have just made the hearts a little bit bigger and less colors. That way it can fill up more space and maybe not look so muddy and crowded, but I continued making those boxes. Now, as you saw, I did use one of the tapes to add as my measurement. That way I can add another piece of tape on top to make these little boxes. Once again, they were not even, so they didn't even help me out with the spacing. Nonetheless, I started making the hearts with my puffy paint. I really like this idea and I should have took my time more because some of the hearts kind of just look smushed and not really like hearts, but I wasn't in the right mindset when making this craft, obviously. So I will continue adding all of these little hearts in all different colors and all these different squares. Once I have all of these squares filled up with the puffy paint, then I will start removing the tape off of the canvas and then start adding more of the hearts to the unpainted areas. And I had no rhyme or reason about where I place each color heart. I just really wanted them to be random and sporadic. Once I was done filling up my whole canvas, that completes this DIY. I mentioned before, I have a love-hate relationship because the idea is good, but I really don't like how I execute it. However, I think you guys can do a much better job than I did, but I still would like to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below. Okay friends, here are all the DIYs that were in today's video. I really hope you enjoy. I had a blast making all of these, and I really think these would be really cute as last minute gifts or just decor around your house. But I would love to know which one was your favorite down in the comment section below. And remember friends, if you're new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, but we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family, where we do a lot of DIY DIYs, painting, and all sorts of things on this channel. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this refresher DIY project. And if you liked today's video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel, and to at least share it to one friend. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next one.